Robert Kirk. Oh my gosh, I didn't pay attention. One of my good friends, Tom Kirk from Philadelphia. So small world with the last name Kirk. You're both really famous guys. Thanks for joining the CRM Science channel called Wealth Science. Appreciate you stopping by. I think we've had a chance to bump into each other quite a few times this week. Tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do to keep busy.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me here. Second, I thought you were going to say Captain Kirk. That would have been a little bit more appropriate.
I should have gone.
That's all right.
That would have been cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rob Kirk, founder and CEO of InterGen Data. We are a life event prediction and analysis company. And I'm here at T3, meeting great guys like yourself, seeing how the world comes back together after being 2 years apart, and noticing that we are people that need to be with people. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I would say that that's probably my biggest takeaway right now is give COVID some credit for getting us a little hungrier, but I do feel like there's a tipping point in the industry. I think that people are getting it, right? Maybe I think COVID helped a little bit with having to use tools, right? We just couldn't be in person. So thanks for that nice intro. Why'd you come here?
So our business is about helping others understand what data is important to them. COVID actually helped our business in the sense that we're able to predict 81 different critical illnesses. And one of the key things that's come about is COVID has really hit people to understand that if you get sick, and if you get sick with other complications, that you really have to start thinking about your expenses. You have to think about what it costs. And when COVID first hit and people were going to ICU, they weren't prepared for the $75,000 to $120,000 per week that it would take to be in ICU. And unfortunately, because 62% of the country can't afford $1,000 bill, that could really have a detrimental effect on everyone.
75 grand a week.
A week. So from that point, what we wanted to do is make sure that our data was accessible to as many different people. We want to help advisors. We want to help consumers. We want to help the companies. And T3 is such a phenomenal event because it brings together the advisors, the technology that enables all of this and empowers the advisors to give the right types of advice. And then also on the enterprise day, because within the enterprises, it's how do the large companies use these types of products? So it's a perfect venue for us to really kind of come and explain our story.
Yeah. And we did talk earlier about sharing your observations. I think we came to agreement that I own my you can't take my legs are tired, but you had a different spin on that. So why don't you give me your spin on that as your first observation, and then maybe offer one or two that come out of that.
That's absolutely tremendous. So I was gung-ho. We're sitting here setting up our booth, getting things ready. And I'm like, yes, we're back. Everybody's back. And then after about day 2 and day 3, I'm like, oh, and what I realized I was conference ready, but I am not conference fit.
And I brought the usual suspects, the Advil, which is always a big winner for me. But I also brought with me my buddy up in my hometown owns a CBD store, and offered me a CBD stick, looks like a deodorant stick. And I swear I tried it the first time around. I'm like, it didn't do anything. But a couple of weeks ago, I tried a little bit, and man, what a difference! Yeah, it was. So I've been using that to get through these last couple of days.
Well, I'm in.
Knocking
you got to
down
give me a
CBD deodorant stick. What in the non-physically demanding aspect, one or two other observations about T3.
So first of all, people need people. We need each other. We need the interaction. It's great when you look at people from glass. It's perfect when you're sitting there. But man, to get back in touch with people, to see the expressions, to see the excitement, that's the first thing. Secondly, afterwards, what I think is really important is for us to be able to sit back, take a hold, and really listen to somebody. We get so lax at home. We get so lax on a Zoom. I'm going to start, taking some coffee, sip. Let me turn on some music. Let me look. You don't see me on Zoom, but I'm looking at scrolling through different parts of my web, or I'm looking at, hey, what's going on? I'm not TikTok or anything, but emails, and you're not paying attention. But when you're with people, you got to pay attention. You got to be there. So it's a moment, be in the moment time. And that was really, really helpful.
Yeah. So you've really been, you really feel good about all the human interaction
Oh yeah.
things that we get out of that. And thanks for sharing the Zoom thing, because I'm a personal pet peeve about we don't need to be on Zoom internally, but in front of the client, everybody's on Zoom.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I look for. If I'm the key speaker on the meeting, I can't really manage it as much. But if I'm the facilitator and handing off to some other team members, I do look for the ones that I know are not paying attention, and I call them out just to keep them sharp. What if anything has been real thought provoking as you get ready to jump in your car and head back home tonight?
So I think the biggest thing is the willingness for everybody to start to integrate data, to start to talk about how they can work together. 2.5 years ago, it was less about integration. It was more about, I do this, well, you do that. Well, that's neat. We'll think about that. But with COVID, everyone wants to try and help. Everyone is focused on helping the client. And because we were so far apart and literally physically, but also technologically, we didn't have those interactions. So it was harder to get.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that was key. And I think that was something that was very striking, no matter who you went to. Hey, if an advisor came up and said, I'd like you to integrate or meet this person, they would start talking right then. Okay, here's what we're thinking about. We're transparent about our roadmap. Here's some things. What else can we do? Really, really willing to help. That was huge.
Yeah, I really appreciate your insights around the human dynamic, right? That's awesome. So as we think about wrapping up, or as we wrap up, I'm a big fan. It means a lot to me to understand what makes people special, and I frame that around something called superpowers. So share with me your superpower. What you're bringing to this life and our friends and our family and to the workplace.
Well, I think that if you was to put it into one single point, my superpower is the ability to see patterns through data. I think God's given me the ability to see all the people that I've met in my life. They were there for a reason. All the jobs that I've held, all the jobs that I've done poorly, and the projects that have failed, the projects that have won, everything builds to the point where we're at today. And I don't think I'd be there if I wasn't able to assess, review, know that failures are just as important as successes. And then to see, okay, now can I use that data to go forward? Well, that's kind of our business. We're looking at what events are likely to happen to you that you're not thinking about, but you should plan for.
Yeah, that's you really had me at embracing failures. Maybe the third time I've heard this today, and maybe it's my naivety around the industry, but we're in an industry that doesn't allow that, right? Because that's called a compliance or some type of violation. So in general, people are just very mistake adverse, right? So I'd rather do the safe thing. So it would be great as you continue through your journey to help people embrace that approach, right?
Completely
do it,
agree.
win, learn some things, failed a few things, learn from those, go back and do it again.
Absolutely. And I think the easiest way I like to tell people is I'm the best of my worst mistakes. I will make mistakes with you. We will both learn, but if we're both transparent and open with each other, we will succeed.
Yeah. And doesn't that circle back? I know we talked earlier about, I'm a big Brene Brown fan. And I know through my career, it took a long time for me because I was more of an athlete and, not show the weaknesses, but man, life got so much more, just got so much better, got so much more productive. I mean, to me, being vulnerable and understanding that failing is all part of it. I've never been, what do I tell my wife all the time? I've never been slower and more productive in my entire life.
Rest and acceleration. For me, what you just said speaks volumes, because when I realized that through my effort, I cannot do it, I have to give it over. That's when my religion comes in. And
Nice.
To me, it's God takes over.
Yeah.
I can't do it. If he's going to do it for me, then I have to not be trying. So I thank you for that. That really means a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean, thanks for the connection. And the other side of my brain now is I do have a borderline OCD about workflow. And when I started to, maybe in a sense, I kind of let it go and not always be me. It was really interesting that, a minute is a really long time and 7 minutes is a really long time. Like you can get a lot done, especially if you're not worried about your stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a gentleman I talked to earlier today, said he was way better athlete than the guy that was teaching him how to ski. But at the end of like 5 days of runs, he just was insanely exhausted, and the ski instructor was not. And he said, "How do you do it?" He goes, "You're not a good skier." He goes, "I know you're better than me." He goes, "No, you spend so much time worrying about the things that don't matter."
Yeah.
Right? Just, hey, worry about the next turn, worry about this. And I go, "Yeah, isn't that amazing, man?" All of a sudden, a 7-minute run or a 9-minute run is really long and really cool. Not everything's 15 minutes, an hour, too much to do in a day. It's really fascinating.
All right. So
Yeah.
you hit on one thing. You said something about the time that matters. These are the things that don't matter. Our tagline for our company is leverage the moments that matter. You were spot on, brother. I got to tell
Hey,
you,
maybe
man.
I should read cards and crystal balls.
That's it. I'll have you on the team, man.
Yeah, appreciate
Joe,
it.
it's been absolutely phenomenal.
Thanks,
Thank
Robert.
you so
appreciate
much,
the time, man. Enjoy your journey home, and I hope our paths cross
Safe travel.
soon.
Take care.